Hey everybody, thank you for stopping by Living to Do's review of Married at First Sight, Season 16, Episode 3, Music City Matrimony. Before I get started with the review, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I thank you in advance and I would really appreciate it. So let's get ahead with this. They had the last two weddings on this episode, so the next wedding I'll talk about will be Dominique and McKinley, or Mack. Mack had his groomsmen and he had one groomswoman, and that was his friend Taylor. Taylor is his best friend that he lives with her parents. He came from Michigan to live with her parents, and she lives out of state. So they're not in the same house, but I guess men and women can be best friends. Anyway, he has her also in the wedding. And Dominique, her necklace that she wore at her wedding, I thought was so beautiful. I really liked that. It looked really nice on her. It was a beautiful necklace. And she also wore cowboy boots to her wedding. She's really into that cowboy life. And then they talked about her fishing. She likes going fishing a lot. Good for her. She doesn't look like the type to do that. When they met each other afterwards, after the wedding, Mack, he said he was attracted to her. Because she is a pretty woman, but I'm glad. And during the wedding, Dominique seemed a little nervous, but the wedding went off without a hitch. Not too much going on there. So, one thing that Mack liked about Dominique were her breasts. He's a boob guy, and he seems to, he liked what the experts gave him. Uh, I wonder what she's going to think when she sees this guy. The first thing he says, he's a boob guy and likes what he got. They took their wedding photos with the family, all different poses, and I heard at the end, Dominique wanted to stop. She goes like, are they done? Because she wants to get her party on. She wanted to party. I don't know. I mean, Dominique just comes off to me as a little immature. And I know she's only 25, but she seems like a college girl. She has that mentality. But we don't know her well enough. At the wedding, her mother had a toast and talked about Dominique being potty trained at 1, fully potty trained at 1. So I'm thinking they're trying to insinuate she's older than what she is, or more mature. Though I don't see the maturity, not to me. She doesn't seem mature, but we have to see more of her. Still a party girl to me. Dominique spoke to her new in-laws, her mother-in-law and her sister-in-law, and she brought up the race issue since she's biracial, and she wanted to know how they felt about her being married to their son and brother. And his mother, to me, gave a weird response. She just said something like marriage is hard, and I'm just like, yeah, but all marriages are hard. Factor in the race issue. Do you have a problem with it? The fact that you just kind of tap around it. I wonder if they're going to have an issue with her. And then meanwhile, Dominique's mother and family were speaking to Mack, and she brought up the race issue to him, and he says, his family, I guess, pretty much is liberal from what he says. And mother checked on his grandma. Is it grandma gonna have a problem with it? And I mean, she had to go back that far down the line. First of all, I don't know if she realizes that his people are not from Nashville, because that might be a bigger issue there. He's from Michigan, but still, grandma, old school, will she have a problem with having a a black family member. And the way Mac put it is like, oh no, there's no problem here. So we'll have to see about them. Let's go on to the next couple. So the next couple will be Jasmine and Airris. When Jasmine gets to the event, her wedding, but before she goes in to get married, we see her father. He greets her. Apparently he's a preacher. And she told him that he looked nice. And he didn't say anything to her. Your daughter's getting married. And she looked absolutely beautiful. She was so pretty. She came down the aisle with a big smile. She seemed so happy. She just looked really, really pretty. In fact, I don't know, everybody in attendance or people were clapping, including Airris at the altar. I think maybe he had some just nervous energy, but he was clapping too. And then she's before him, and he looks up at her and says tall, because she was a little bit taller than him, with her heels on anyway. They held hands during their vows, which was nice. And Jasmine's vows were they were just really nice, just perfect for the occasion. And the preacher told Airris, you better bring it. And he did his vows, and I thought they were sweet and thoughtful. And they had a sweet kiss when it was time to kiss the bride. Later, Jasmine said in the confessional that he was easy on the eyes, and she liked his beard. And they got to talking later, and he found out that she has 4 dogs, and she's caring for 9 puppies because she's a breeder. Again, she just doesn't look like a breeder. And the way Airris seemed about the dog situation, he asked if the dogs sleep with her, and apparently, they're in the house anyway. And he just might call. He was kidding, but he said that he didn't think it was legal to have all those dogs in the house. And he wanted to call somebody about it. That is a lot to ask. First a dog, then multiple dogs, up to, possibly 9 dogs, all her puppies, to have to come and live like that. That... Honestly, that's too much. If people are not into that, that's too much. I think they should have matched her with somebody, who would be right off the bat okay with that type of situation. Airris asked her bridesmaids if she was a good communicator. And they were hesitant, they didn't answer right away. So I'm guessing she's not. And they said that she doesn't like confrontation. And I'm like, oh my God, I hate when people say that. Who likes confrontation? So Jasmine met with his mom, Airris's mom, and his cousin, Felina, who has a problem with this whole wedding in the first place. And during the conversation, Jasmine admitted that she was stubborn. So I don't know why it was showcased like that to us. That's the only thing that they really showed us what she said. So I don't know if she's going to be stubborn in later episodes. The cousin, she knows that Jasmine is a pageant girl, and she didn't like all her answers. She thought they were pageant answers, saying the right thing, but she just, that's not really getting to know a person. So, Felina already has Jasmine's number already. Nothing is going to get past her. She's watching her closely. Almost like she has a stake in it. I know he's your cousin, almost like brother, but she is watching her with an eagle eye. Airris was asked to rate, or actually it was Jasmine first was asked to rate her husband. She gave him a 9.5 out of 10. She thought he was fine, but he wasn't perfect. He was asked the same thing. They said, rate your wife from 1 to 10, 10 being the Beyonce, and he gave her an 8. And the groomsmen that he had being good friends, said, okay, basically that's the wrong answer. That's your wife. So you should always look at her, as a 10, I guess. They asked about the wedding night. And one thing he did say, a comment he made, I thought it was so tasteless. Talking about telling her to get on her knees. He's always talking this sex talk like he's the man on the streets, and he's just very hypersexual. And that might be true, or it could be just the opposite. He could be a square in that area, you know what I mean? He talks too much. And I don't know if he's playing it up for the cameras, but don't, because it's very tacky, it's to talk about your wife that way. They drove off in a pink car when they after their wedding. So I don't know the significance of that pink car. I don't know if it was his car. I hope they tell us more about that. But that was basically all for this couple. So let's go on to the next couple. So the next couple up is Gina and Clint. There's not much to say about this couple this week. After their wedding was last week, they're sitting in, down and talking at their wedding dinner. They both think that they're going to the Bahamas for their honeymoon, so we'll have to see if they were right on that. The wedding people in the wedding party or the wedding attendants were clinking their glasses. That's to see if the bride and groom will just drop everything and kiss, and they do. So they seem like they're getting along okay right now. They get to talking and they show that Gina talks about work, so much detail about work. She's a salon owner and opening her own business and all the phases of that process. And she just kept telling him. He looked like he's just being polite, but a little bit annoyed. And he said in his confessional that, he doesn't want to hear about work right now. Not so much talk about it anyway. I don't know if she even realized she was doing it. They had, Gina had one of her bridesmaids give a very lovely toast, and her voice was cracking like she was going to cry. And I actually teared up. I thought it was a lovely toast. I think that was the same friend who was talking to Clint. All the bridesmaids talked to Clint, and she was getting real up close in his face to talk to him. It was just, I don't know if she realized it, but step back a little bit. It was just, some people don't know that they're too much, that they're invading privacy, they're stepping onto, she's not aware of herself, so I don't know what she'll think looking back at this, of her scene talking to him so close in his face like that. Clint was asked what he was most excited about Gina tonight on their wedding night. And he said an answer like, he said, homie's not going to play that. I thought that was such a quirky response, but whatever. That was basically it with this couple. Hopefully we'll see more of them next week. So let's move on to the next couple. Okay, the next couple is Chris and Nicole. They got married last week. They're at their wedding dinner. They have done their wedding pictures. They're at the wedding dinner, and the wedding party, the people in attendance are cleaning their glasses to see if the bride and groom will kiss. And they do. They kiss. They kiss a lot, actually. Nicole's father gave a toast. He was calling this whole situation unusual, and he said that was to be nice because this is just really odd for these people who have never heard of this and having their offspring participate in such a thing. It could be weird and off-putting for these parents. Nicole thought the vibe was Chris was giving off that he's too nice with no limits, and she's nice too, she believes, but she does have limits, and she has to work hard to make him feel appreciated. So that's early on. I don't know what she would do to him that would make him feel unappreciated. She told her bridesmaids that everything feels so right. She's all in. She's going to give it her all, and he's giving it his all. And they look good together. They seem to vibe with one another. They were both talkative, real talkative. To me though, I have to think that she's more talkative than him, and maybe their problem in their marriage is that she's not going to get to talk as much as she wants to. Chris met with Nicole's dad, Mark. Mark wanted to find out if he was a criminal, like a criminal is just going to admit that they're a criminal, a scam artist, or comes from a bad family. He says, everything is great now, but life gets in the way. And he expects this marriage to last for the rest of their lives. So I'm glad that another man on her behalf is speaking to him. I think that's great. That, these people, these girls, they've come from people that love them, and we want you to treat them, with respect. Now, what was wild at their wedding was the wedding singer. She was brightly colored outfit, orange, and an orange tiger guitar and a short skirt. I don't know. I've never really noticed other wedding singers at these weddings, but I know she really did stand out. And Chris was asked if he was going to consummate his wedding by his groomswoman, and he didn't think that was going to happen. And Nicole was asked that too, and she said, basically the same thing. However, this was the only couple we showed that they showed them back at their hotel room for their wedding night. And Chris asked her if he could pick her up, and put her across the threshold. They're supposed to do that. Or that's old tradition, and he did. She just seems a little too heavy to be picked up like that. But he, surprised, he stumbled a little bit, but he picked her up across the threshold, and they were just kissing a lot. She said that she could see herself falling in love with him, and they get into bed, and they're kissing. They look comfortable. It looks right. It looks how it should be. They just look kind of natural at it, and she just met him, and she's just sinking into him and kissing him. I was just hoping we're not going to have another Stasha and Nate performance like we did in the shower last year with these two. That's what made me think of them. They got so close so quick. So let's see how well they fare. Okay, on to the last couple. Okay, the last couple will be Shaquille and Kirsten. So they already had their wedding in the last episode. So they're having, they had their pictures and they had their wedding dinner. And a plate was presented in front of them. And it was like little tomatoes and cut up and some type of hors d'oeuvre. And Kristen just looked at it like, what's this you trying to feed me? It didn't look like anybody would want it, really. And they both were kind of cracking jokes on it. They kind of got along really well. I mean, they just seemed like they had the same interests. They found the same things funny. They were pleasant with one another, giggling, and they just seem like it's a good match. I can't wait to see if that holds up to be true. People in their attendance at their wedding were clinging their glasses to see if they would kiss, and no kiss. And I think Shaquille did not kiss her because he didn't kiss her at the altar. And why make that your first kiss, maybe? I think she wanted to be kissed, but she wanted to be asked. And he does not know that. So they're not communicating, because I don't know how it would be if someone says, I would like for you to ask me if you can kiss me. And people don't really say that. I guess you got to give out a clue. And since she turned her cheek at the altar, he's kind of being reserved in that area and definitely not pushing anything and probably waiting for her to give a signal, but she's waiting to be asked. So there is just some bad communication here because you both want the same thing. You're just not getting there. And it's just an awkward thing. I wonder how they're going to get over that. That's going to be cute to see how they do that. Shaquille was talking to the bridesmaids, and he was telling him that, God gives him signs, and he gave him signs to be on MAFS, to go through this process. But he never said what those signs are, and he just could be talking. He says that he's really busy. He's in school. I think he was just finishing up his exams this very week of their wedding. And they think the bridesmaids thought he was too busy for the process, perhaps. And he says, I make time for things that I want. And so the bridesmaids asked him, do you want her? And he said, yes. And he looks like he does. Even his groomsmen said that she was beautiful. Everybody thinks she's beautiful. So we'll have to see about them. They were taking off their garter belt, or actually Shaquille was taking off Kirsten's garter belt. He's doing this dance, shimmying up to her, going up under his dress. In fact, I remember Airris did this too with Jasmine. So he's all doing his dance, just grinding up on her like a Chippendale dancer. Got the garter belt, threw it, and Kirsten's brother caught the belt. That was all cute. And so Kirsten was talking to her bridesmaids, and they were talking about how she turned her cheek at the altar, and they asked her why. And she said, one thing was the bald head, because that's what she requested, no bald heads. And he didn't ask. Again, he didn't ask. The bridesmaid should, go scurry over to Shaquille and let him know that you didn't ask her if you could kiss her, something like that. That could be a good conversation starter and kind of help push them in their marriage a little bit. So when Shaquille was talking to his friends, they were talking about the kiss, and he got slighted, and he was trying to save face, talking about that, they're going to start off as friends. His brides or his groomsmen were saying, don't, stay in the friend zone. You get there and you'll stay there and you'll never get out. So be mindful, don't just linger in the friend zone. Now, Kirsten told her bridesmaids that she does like what he has to offer. He's educated, and that's really important to her. She's getting a quality man on paper. People have lied in the past, so let's see. But basically, if he says that he is all that he says he is, he seems like a qualified man and a good match for her. The bald head is an issue, but hey, it could be worse things. So that was basically it for this episode. They showed scenes from the upcoming episodes. It looks interesting. Some tears. We'll see what that's all about. I don't remember if I saw Jasmine and Airris crying or having an issue, or Kirsten and Shaquille. It was the other couples that all seemed to have issues, and tears were flowing. So it seems like it's going to get more interesting, but that is it for now. I thank you so much for staying with me till the end. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate it, and I thank you in advance, but I got to go because I got living to do. Bye.